Hi guys, my name is Megan and today I've got some of my favorite queer book series for you. Alright, so today we're talking about some of my absolute favorite queer book series. I would talk about these books incessantly, so you probably already know what they are, but, and I mean you can probably guess from the thumbnail. I really just have to talk about them again because I love them so much. And I figured, why not share them again? Because the more I can get you guys to read these books, the more I can have people to talk to about them, and the more I can get other people to start reading them because you guys like them. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Alright, so the first one should be no shock to anybody because I've already done a whole video on this book series, and that is the Tear It sequence. This is one of the best book series I have ever read. I have a whole video on why you guys should read this book series that I will leave linked up in the corner if you're interested. This one is following Rune, who is the last scion of the Sun Court. So this whole series has magic system based on the tarot cards. It's fantastic. So Rune is the last scion of the Sun Court because something happened when he was younger and basically everybody was killed, and he and Brand, his bodyguard slash best friend slash something more, are the last couple of people alive from the Sun Court. And they have basically been just doing mercenary work since they can remember. And one of their new jobs is to find Adam, who is the son of Lady Justice, and he's been missing for like a week at this point, I think. And basically they have this whole quest thing to find Adam. And it's just such a fun book because Rune and Brand accidentally adopt a teenager and somehow they end up accidentally adopting another one at some point. And just like, it's a whole adventure. If you love found family, this is the one to go for. And it's super, super queer. Like every character in this book is queer. And it's just one of the best books I've ever read. Next up I have the Stickside series. This is one of my absolute favorite queer hockey romance series. This book in particular has demisexual representation in it, but all of the books in this series have a different form of sexual representation in it, and they're all fantastic. Would highly recommend, because I think there's another book coming out eventually. There's 5 or 6 books total so far, and there's another one coming, I think. Anyway, this first one follows Mitch Grayson, who is a college sophomore trying to get his degree in before he heads to the NHL because he's been on the hockey team and he's been scouted. It's also following Alex Dean, who is a pro hockey player in the NHL, and he's been sidelined with an injury, but also he went home to take care of his grandfather for a little bit. And these two meet by happenstance when Alex is doing a lecture at Mitch's school or his college. They kind of strike up this friendship, and like Alex is very forward about his demisexuality and just, upfront about, just so you know, a relationship may not ever lead to sex. So I really love this book for that. But really all of the books in this series have great representation in them. We have ace, bisexual, pansexual, and I forget what else was in this one, but also like all the different tropes that are represented in these books. Fantastic. The next book I'm going to recommend is going to be Like Real People Do. This one I have a book review for that I will leave linked up in the corner. This is one of my favorite books that I've read this year. This is a hockey romance featuring Alex Price, who is the youngest hockey captain in the NHL history. It's also following Eli, who is a figure skater recovering from a traumatic brain injury that has caused epilepsy. And they have a not so great meet cute their first time meeting each other, and from there they kind of start a budding friendship that becomes really fast friends and then kind of morphs into something more without either of them realizing it. And it's just a fantastic read. You should read this. It's so good and so sweet, and just, you want to curl up within the pages of this book and just never leave. Okay, so next up I have All for the Game. This is the most unhinged sports romance-ish book that you will ever read. It's following Neil Johnston, who has been on the run from his serial killer father, who happens to work for the mafia. So then he in turn is running from the mafia, and he somehow ends up recruited to the Foxes, or the Palmetto State Foxes, to the Exy team, which Exy is a made-up sport. It's kind of like cross meets hockey and soccer, and just, it's unhinged and like a bastard of a sport. Like, it's nuts. Anyway, turns out one of his teammates, he knows from before he like decided to run away, and this is the mafia sports romance that you didn't know that you needed. It's unhinged and like the best way, and it's so good. I would highly recommend checking out trigger warnings before diving into this book series because it's a lot. And then the last book series I'm going to talk about today is going to be the Necessary Evils series. This book series is following a family of psychopaths who have all been adopted by Thomas Mulvaney, who is raising them as his children, but also as kind of like an experiment to see if they can nurture psychopaths into being more vigilante justice, or like, you know, if they can be controlled into like killing people for the right reason instead of just, you know, willy-nilly, that kind of thing. And each of the boys get their own book. They're all unhinged in different ways, especially this one. And somehow they end up being sweet in their own ways, but also all of these books have a massive list of trigger warnings to dive into before checking out the books, which I would highly recommend doing. But this is one of the best dark romance series that I've ever read. It's also one of the first dark romance series that I've read, but again, would highly recommend, especially if you're a fan of All for the Game. This might be like a couple steps up from All for the Game. But yeah, this is a great dark romance series to dive into, but double check trigger warnings before just diving in. So those are some of my favorite queer book series. Do you guys have a favorite queer book series? Let me know down below. If you guys like this video, don't forget the like button. If you haven't already but would like to, go and hit the subscribe button. And if you'd like to follow me on social media for more bookish stuff, check out the links down below. Alrighty, bye guys.